The night the desert came for Tazir, nobody heard it coming. There were no drums, no warning from the guards, no cry from the watchtowers, only silence. Just before midnight, every flame inside King Malek's palace suddenly went out. He woke to a voice whispering his name. Malek. He reached for his sword and called for the guards, but no one answered. When he opened his chamber door, the corridor was empty, his guards were gone, and sand was slowly spreading across the palace floor. Then the wind began to rise. From beyond the palace walls came 7 voices speaking together. You broke your promise. Malek froze. He knew those voices 20 years earlier. But what had Malek promised the spirits? And what could possibly make the Sahara itself turn against an entire kingdom? To understand the truth, we must go back to the beginning. Then the rain stopped. 1 month passed. Then 2. Then 3. The river became a trickle. Grass turned brown. Animals died. The wells became empty. Mothers walked for miles searching for water, and families began leaving the kingdom. Then an old blind woman named Amina came to the palace, carrying a small bowl of sand. You are looking for water, she told the king. Yes. You have searched the wells and mountains. Yes. Then stop looking for what must be found. What you need must be given. Given by whom? Malek asked. Amina whispered. By those who lived here before your kingdom had a name. She told him to travel to the Valley of 7 Dunes before sunrise. That night, Malek secretly rode into the desert with 3 trusted guards. At the valley, 7 enormous dunes surrounded a black stone covered in ancient symbols. Suddenly, the wind stopped. The sand began to rise and 7 figures emerged. The 7 keepers of the sands. We are the memory of this desert, said the oldest spirit. They told Malek they had watched his people build their homes, dig wells, and take more from the desert than they needed. Your kingdom is dying, the spirit said. I know, Malek replied. We can save it. How? Make a promise. The spirits demanded that Malek protect the sacred wells, leave ancient ruins untouched, give water to travelers, and never allow his soldiers to take more than his people needed. And in return, Malek asked, water will return to Tazir. The king's heart raced, but the oldest spirit gave one final condition. Every king must remember this pact. And if one forgets, the spirit's eyes glowed. Then the desert will remember for him. Malek placed his hand on the black stone. I swear, thunder shook the sky. Dark clouds gathered over the dunes. Then rain fell. By morning, the wells were filling. The river was flowing. The crops were recovering, and the animals were returning. The people celebrated Malek as a hero, never knowing the secret behind the miracle. For 20 years, Malek kept his promise. He protected sacred wells, preserved ancient places, helped travelers, and secretly returned every year to the Valley of 7 Dunes. Then Malek grew old and died. His son Rashid became king. Rashid was intelligent, wealthy, and ambitious. But he wanted more land, more gold, and more power. One day, miners discovered a fortune in gold beside an ancient sacred well. The elders warned him, your father forbade anyone from digging here. Rashid laughed. My father was an old man. This place belongs to the spirits. There are no spirits. He ordered the miners to continue. Ancient stones were destroyed. Sacred markings were broken. The well was drained, and the gold kept coming. Tazir became richer than ever. Rashid built enormous towers, expanded the palace, covered his throne with gold, and placed a giant golden statue of himself in the city. The people celebrated, and slowly they forgot. They forgot the warnings. They forgot the sacred wells. They forgot the desert. They forgot the pact. Then one evening, every dog in Tazir began barking toward the eastern desert. Suddenly they stopped. Birds disappeared. The air became completely still. An old woman looked toward the horizon and saw 7 figures standing on a distant dune. She screamed. The next morning, a massive sandstorm struck. It swallowed an entire village. Rashid sent soldiers, but they disappeared. More storms followed. The sky turned orange. Sand poured to the city gates, covered the markets, filled the temples, and climbed the palace steps. from the highest tower, Rashid saw 7 figures standing silently on the dunes. He finally understood. The spirits had returned. Rashid rode into the desert and reached the valley of 7 dunes. He fell to his knees. "Please, my people are dying." "You broke the pact," said the oldest spirit. "I did not know." "You knew. Your father believed. Your elders warned you, but you chose greed." Rashid lowered his head. "What must I do?" "Return what you took." He returned to Tazir, closed the mines, restored the sacred lands, and ordered the gold taken from the desert to be returned. But the storms continued. So Rashid went to the center of the city before thousands of people. He removed his crown. "I believed I owned this kingdom. I believed gold made me powerful. I was wrong." Then he ordered his golden statue destroyed. The statue crashed to the ground. At that exact moment, the wind stopped. The sand fell. The clouds opened. Rain began to fall. The people cried. Children danced. The wells filled again. From that day forward, Rashid protected the desert and taught his children about the Pact. Years later, when Rashid was old, he returned to the Valley of 7 Dunes one final time. The oldest spirit appeared. "Do you understand now?" "Yes." "What have you learned?" Rashid looked across the endless dunes. A king may rule a kingdom, but he can never own the land that gives it life. The 7 spirits disappeared into the sand. The people of Tazir continued telling the story from generation to generation. The elders always ended it with the same warning. Never mistake silence for emptiness. The desert remembers every promise made upon its sands. And perhaps that was the greatest lesson of all. The lesson stayed with them too. A king may rule people, but he cannot own the land that keeps him alive. So the next time you see the endless Sahara stretching beneath the sun, remember King Malek, the 7 keepers, and the secret pact. Because sometimes the greatest danger is not what lives in the darkness. It is what happens when people become so powerful that they forget what gave them their power in the first place. If you enjoyed this story, tell us in the comments. Would you have made the pact with the Sahara spirits if it meant saving your entire kingdom? And if you want more mysterious African legends, forgotten kingdoms, supernatural stories, and ancient tales, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because beneath Africa's sands are stories the world has never heard.